Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to me this afternoon. I'm going live in the studio today. It's 2:59. We're almost that time. And hello. And thanks so much for tuning in to me this afternoon. You are on live with Afternoons with Deep Light. And like I said, thanks again for tuning in to me, everybody. I'm in the studio. I'm at WRFU UCIMC. But before we go live in the studio, you know what I have to do, and I do this at the top of the hour. Each hour I come on, I have to go over my legal ID. At the top of the hour, it is WRFU-LP Urbana. This is our disclaimer. WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana-Champaign community. Views expressed are those of the speaker and guests, and they are not intended to represent WRFU, UCIMC. Before we get started, everybody, I'd like to introduce who's in the studio with me today as well. And Draper is here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Start the day off with just thanking the Most High for waking up today and starting this beautiful afternoon with some great topics that we can hopefully discuss and get some insight, and see where we all at today.
Right.
Let's vibe.
Let's do it. Well, before we get started, we had this conversation on leading up on into the way in here. And we had started off kicking out thinking that we were going to solely highlight relationships, right? We talked about that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, are we still with that agenda?
Right? I mean, as I think relationship topics always
they always a hit. They always a hit.
Which direction to go with it is actually, that's the key.
We got a lot of directions that we can go with it. So we started off talking about, okay, we started off talking about the expectations and how we learn expectations in a relationship. So we can cover that. Let's go. So from the time that, parents create, right? What do we learn from our parents? You know what I'm saying? And what do we learn from the relationships that are around the parents? And we can even dive a little bit deeper and go back, even the construction of the relationship when you're talking about both of the two parties emerging together and then producing a child. So we can start with that. If you want to start with that, turn the camera to yourself. You can.
No, you can just push that, yeah. Well, I mean, it's always an interesting topic when you're talking about how we engage our beginnings and, our expectations of relationship. I'm going to say that, from my own perspective, from my experience, like I said, it was just coming out, just trying to experiment and learn about things. Some of the stuff started from just, I guess your nature has you curious about things at times. So when you start to get around other mates, like women and men, when they finally meet, this when you learn your engagement. But the correct way of learning how we go further for us and taking our time to know each other, those stages and steps is not really properly done, but we take risks at moving fast at our own thought process because we the only ones really the directors of our destiny or choices of relationship when we choose that. So if it's good or bad, it's still an experience that you get to learn that will make you better, because without trial and error, how do you know how to even identify yourself or your likes and dislikes, or how to watch if somebody else have those things about them that you know how to compromise? Because it's like a whole strategy when you're talking about building a healthy relationship.
Yeah. It is. I mean, and that's where let's go backwards a little bit.
Right.
That's the understanding that you have when you bring children into the world.
Right.
I think most of the time, most people, when they actually get together in a relationship with somebody and they talk about even if it's not even talked about, I think the automatic assumption is that you have two people that created this person to actually raise this person, right?
Okay.
And a lot of times, what we're encountering right now with the young women and young men that are in relationships, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Shamika, a lot of young men and young women that are in relationships right now, like the premise that they're getting together right now on and what it looks like is really not
it's not
the expectation for
it ain't no expectations
but
besides
hold on just a minute. Let me finish that thought. The expectation that two people getting together would have a child, that's not even the expectation anymore. So when you have a woman who's out here most of the time, she's by herself raising this child. Now you got a person with scarred views, damaged views, skewed views on relationships.
Right.
But now she's raising people.
Right.
And so now we talk about like how we were talking about just a few minutes ago, like how the expectation was set for us when we were raised in the manners that we were raised. You know what I'm saying? Or what was your experience and expectation after you were raised? Like being in a two-parent family house did not set a real proper expectation for me.
Right.
I can only speak about myself. So being in a two-parent family household didn't set the expectation that I would then get married and have children and be the wife to the husband, right? Because what my reality was from seeing mom and dad was it was a toxic relationship, and I didn't want to experience anything like that, right? And these are the relationships now where we're talking about how people are now, going out and engaging, but your foundation of what your expectation was from, being in a relationship or seeing a relationship with your parents. Now, are you in fact emulating that very standard for yourself?
I don't think so. I don't think not. I think that, like I said, it's just behind people maybe have found boyfriends and girlfriends to be comfort or love or a new family member, so like I said, a lot of people are using each other for some of the weirdest reasons and calling it love because somebody's available. When you are in a pit with people that trauma bond and just, really don't pay attention to too much about value of directions and, family settings and things like that for a future, you're gonna be like you're in the wilderness, you know what I'm saying, until things start to develop in yourself where you wanna, challenge your way of relationship or building, or even, how is it me being a man? What is my steps that I need to work on for me to allow me to, learn how to engage and find somebody that actually knows how to understand me as me, them, and we build from that and keep going with those steps that we took to first least understand each other.
Okay. Okay. Let's circle that back around.
All right.
Because we jumping too far. I'm trying to give us a baseline. So we started out talking about how we're being raised or what that raising looks like and how that rearage, in fact, makes you make the selections that you make. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're in that realm right now before we talk about the picking and the selection of the choices. What did it rear? First of all, what did your upbringing is what I'm asking people online.
Now that question
is what I'm asking people online, and anybody who wants to chime in, like man. What? Right. And that's what I'm saying.
The woman's version of engaging gonna be different because now you're out here finding some man or whatever that you expecting to possibly have a lead position in life, or knowing how to at least be all those delicate pieces and supportive pieces to a woman's life. And that's not what they've been finding. But, or
selecting.
Yeah,
because we got to talk about the selection.
You go with the easy and comfortable. Well, sometimes it's probably easy and comfortable to go to somebody who's easily accepting, that don't really that really don't take much to get to the next level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, you know, sometimes your worst time can be some people's good times, and they love that, you know, because they so complacent with, you know, really not finding out what the problem is, because you might have to look at yourself.
And most of the time, that's what we get into when we go a little bit further.
Right.
Is the fact of like what we're picking and selecting, you know, can be based off of like, you know,
where you at in life, how you
yeah,
feeling, you
of
know,
course. And then,
know.
you know, like your setups for your from past experiences
Right.
and what you've seen in your upbringing, right? Whatever that looked like for you. Because this is how we then navigate. Because we talking about this for an explanation, because you know what? Now we're looking at young people who are creating and procreating, right? And now this is the reason. It's like, what was the selections that they saw to emulate, right? And what was the selections? So now you're looking at, there's nothing out here to emulate after, correctly? And now I'm not saying in everybody's relationship, but there's a, excuse me, a lot that cannot be emulated. But the young people that we're encountering, and the young people that are formulating relationships, because all of this stemmed off of relationships and the basis of what we're seeing young people, because we were having conversations about young people and what young people's priority right now is in their decision making for themselves and their future. Because one thing that I got to highlight on is that I had read some stuff online about like the necessity, it's not a necessity, let me say that, for young people to marry and have children right now. They don't find that that's not even something that they want to do anymore. And it's happening more and more, that now you're thinking about what's the reproduction of the kids that we're talking about from our races. You know what I'm saying? What kids can and will not do it, because you know what? I don't find a use for it. Right. Because that's what I think we need to really focus on. Like what, and I think that's the thing that deters a lot of young people away from it, because they feel like we have put them in such a limelight of where you can go out here, you make money, you do it for yourself. This is what you do, right? But then after they make the money, they do everything for themselves. This is what you do. They say live your life, but who are you supposed to live it with? Right. They don't make necessity out of family anymore. Right. Everything is being independent. Like, you know, all the single ladies, like this stuff was so crazy. You know how Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? But she made an anthem of all the single ladies, but yet you married to right. Jay-Z with your kids at the house.
That's why I say when you really conscious enough to really see the programming and the disconnect that certain things does to you, and you'll wind up chanting these things and, you know, carrying it on and make it so popular to where you done created a false belief system within yourself. Yeah. Because everybody is intelligent to really know something is just a scene or an act or something just to entertain you. That ain't nothing you try to emulate and create that in yourself.
Right.
You know, we got a lot of people that's created off televisions and songs, and they didn't created these characters about themselves. If that's who you really were. You wasn't born to be none of that. Right. You know, violent, gang, none of that stuff that you put on yourself and claim that and lock that in your soul and heart to where, you know, it's a consequence behind claiming something that had no meaning for you. You know, and so when you sit back and see the failure of decisions like that, especially embracing things, when anything I see with us that is harsh and real negative, we gravitate to that because it sounds like it relating to our life problems, maybe because it has a little bit of stuff everybody going through, you know, but instead of you hearing it and be like, man, that's messed up, I ain't finna do this, you know, you'll wind up playing it every day to where you creating a revenge type of mindset. Absolutely. Now you got people out here bitter and hateful with a revenge type mindset, you know, engaging with each other and really don't even like each other, and that's a dangerous group of people to be around each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, Kiwi. But, yeah. under that misconception is a lot of people. A lot of people have built themselves up to where they believe this is what I should do because I'm going along with the crowd.
Right.
Or they believe this is the place that I'm supposed to be in because I'm going along with the crowd. But, sometimes, we talked about that the mask, taking the mask off, like this mask syndrome, how these kids right now, it's like it's a whole territory of children who really don't even know who they are because they're playing a fictitious role online. And now you going out here. Even when we talking about the dating scene, having these young people go through the dating scene, and then you find out, like, from little young girls or girls dating online. I remember Kiwi had put up something, years ago, and she was talking about this very thing, about how, people will get on here, try to pursue, try to date, try to be long-term range, but really only want, what they want. But the mentality of people not to even try and be truthful with you is that it's a
double-edged sword with that because,
oh my goodness.
I mean, a lot of people really tell them the truth. But not saying that you don't supposed to, because like I said, if that's your change and your mindset or whatever it is, you have the right to share that and you don't have to hide that from nobody.
Right.
But like I said, just the comfortability when people probably made mistakes and ain't, responsible enough to take accountability and actually address that to put themselves on the chopping block to really be, criticized for that action, to be questioned about why did you do that, and they can't answer it and just be honest, because that's just like too vulnerable that I don't think people at today would just total honesty behind the stuff, especially if it's done to somebody else, because like I say, when you in your mode or whatever life have you at, sometimes it be casualties of war when things be rough and some people get hurt. So you have to be very careful when people going through things and how much you put yourself in a position where you can possibly get damaged by their own situations,
Yeah, I mean, and excuse me. I don't know what's going on today with that. But anyway, it's like it was just caught. Anyway. I know you lying. So yeah. Anyway, So we just see a lot of different things that are happening within the community. Foundationally wise, you wonder to yourself, like, long-term goal wise, you wonder to yourself, like, how many people are taking the relationship seriously nowadays? We talk about a lot of people, coming online, and most of the time I think that could be why people come online, is to date, right? To look for another person or whatever, right? I could say that, based on the memes, based on the movement, and then you see people together later on. So I'm looking at, this social media blast from these children, and I'm wondering, like, if that's the regularity, what is this going to look like moving forward? If this is all it is, like, you go online, and I'm trying to set the standard of, like, is it they meet just to hook up, or they meet to try and build something long range? But also, because we had that talk about them being so fixated on what they believe is real, so they get mesmerized between what they think is real and what they see as fantasy. And sometimes it gets merged and it's wrapped all up into a nice, pretty bow. And then it's given to them, right? Because this is the manipulation that we see so many people play off of as well.
But I know they know for sure that you got to work and do something, because ain't nothing coming but just, putting a pity party on people, and because you get into the age now, especially when you 24, 25 and up, it's like people gonna start looking at you, and then it's a different type of demand for you to show that you need assistance from somebody who's serious, because Because people wasting people times and stuff
Yeah,
with,
I know.
you know, you putting all your energy trying to develop and help and taking time to research, even doing paperwork if need be for them, and to just not keep going and moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, because people
I'm
get
telling
called back to that past life stuff, that stuff that didn't carry you nowhere, and still trying to resolve and stay in the loop of things you're supposed to have been intelligent enough to move past and move forward. You know?
The Kiwi just put something up online. She said people not taking relationships seriously because everybody is playing games. It's always this thing where I got to get my lick back or my lick first in case this person do wrong. Yeah, you know, and I think that's been a lot of people's motive. Like your intentional motive when you go into a relationship. If your intentional motive when you go into a relationship is toxicity,
That just
I don't think that's for you, friend. And it's okay for you to say it's not for you. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Josh? You know what I mean? You can walk away.
But for the moment to execute on trying to have a satisfying evening, they'll lie and tell that person.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think we can be something because I know you really ain't got the brains of a, you know, so I know you probably got, I'm going to give you a cigarette, you know, a nice little cup of Kool-Aid, and you can go on over here, and then we can go on. I'll call you tomorrow.
Wow.
And you knowing that, just the same way you had bad intentions of knowing, because two people with wrong intentions will probably be blind of the crap that's pulling on each other because they both doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and that's the unfortunateness of it all. You know, but that is like your blind faith going into it, which is really, you know, and I gotta go to this. I have to go where I know to go. And I gotta talk about God. I have to, because he give you some kind of discernment on everything. So if you're not paying attention, I think that's the problem.
That's why I hit harder. Because it's the first level. You get to peep it, and then the next level is the act. Then here it goes to continuous, repeated actions, and then here you go, you know, talking about you need some therapy. And,
I'm serious.
You know, I'm finna jump off the roof. And, you know, and this person ain't losing a day of sleep of how you feeling. They just really don't even care, because I'd never even known that you was...
I didn't know that you wanted me that bad.
Exactly, you know.
You know. That is the biggest front of a misconception of a lie, a manipulation. And, you know, we done all been there. You know what I'm saying? We done all been there where you had your best intentions and your best heart set up with somebody and they played you to the left. And I understand.
The heartbreak.
Yes.
Listen, the pain. I'm talking about the pain you would feel when somebody break your heart. All the hearts you broke, and then when they finally break your heart. Listen, you know, the therapy you need. You know what I'm saying? The long walks in the rain that you did.
I ain't lying.
You know,
to you. It's terrible.
The Bible scriptures you done read, John and Mark, the whole, you know, finish everything.
Hey, Miss Marilyn. I was just thinking about her son, Mark Anthony. Mark, John, and whatever.
In the Torah, you reading everything because the pain is so unbearable. And I think it hit you different, especially when you done it. Because you like, oh, somebody got me. You know, and it hit different. Now,
I don't think that you think somebody got you.
Yeah, you feel the pain, the emotional, you know, discomfort of knowing, you know, what you had to probably did something. So now you got that thought process. Now, hopefully, that was your lesson to know, treat people how you want to be treated. Because when they come back, grin when you see it again.
I'm telling you, that's the discouragement of it all. You know, I'm hopeful that it will discourage people. Hopefully, when you do wrong and you know that you do wrong in a relationship, I would hope that you would be honest and you would be truthful to that person, or just mosey along and then just say, I don't want to be there, and just leave. That would be the realest intention behind somebody being truthful to you. But like we just talked about, we keep constantly going back to this misconception of how, I mean, sometimes people do, sometimes they don't. I think people, a lot of times, relationships are formulated because they're self-serving. And, you know, I can talk to you about that. But A lot of times I think they're formed because they're self-serving. A lot of people only want what they can intentionally get out of this situation. And most times if they get it and they get it enough over a long time, over duration, they are satisfied with what they're doing and there it will be, right? Whole time, I think a lot of times that you know what's actually going on and you don't want to sacrifice or you don't want to ruffle the feathers within your own body and your own self to relieve and alleviate a lot of things that you're going through. Why does it get so comfortable? Question.
Well,
why does it get so comfortable? Kiwi said, I think a lot of men get their heart broken at 15. And then for the rest of their life, they be over trying to be in relationships and being in love, and not at all, but most women constantly want to try. Well, how true do you believe that is?
You're going to always try with trying to find a mate. I think that was one of God's gifts to, each other, even though it might be yin and yang, but, I just feel a lot of programming and development and things like that really affected the connection. People fell for the banana in the tailpipe and got tricked. So, now you got to heal from all these damaging things that
I didn't know it was this much damage. I mean, I'm just sitting up here like...
People don't even come out no more to create.
Nah. And, not even create. You don't come out to be sociable. You don't do that. You're not sociable. And then if it is... there's a really messy ulterior motive set up behind it.
But if you coming out with intentions to possibly intoxicate yourself to a high extreme with I'm coming out the house from the problems I just had with the situation. So I'm mad, I'm drinking, and I'm in a crowd of people that they're coming to enjoy themselves, but be feeling gooder than me. And then here it go. I'm just then found the way and got into it with somebody because I'm on some miserable stuff. And I'm trying to bring this type of, situation to somebody's life because, maybe they need to take a little of this.
I know it, right? Why is that why? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, you're right. I mean, but that's what a lot of times that you see. You see a lot of people.
Any element you go to, you can go to a job, you can go to some place, anything where people are trying to work together and trying to do some type of, interacting. It always will have a moment where one or two people might shift up and change the situation up because that's just how it is. Everybody ain't always on a good happy mode and know how to maintain that like controlling your peace. Everybody ain't mastered that. So.
I mean, I understand that, but I'm talking about the shift in the environment. That's
the mentality of people. Whoever they're gonna be good and evil. You're getting to see who is who.
Listen, I put that up online last week or the week before last, where I said, if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're an evil person, you're evil.
That's who he is.
I mean, that's just truly what I believe. I mean, like I said, I've seen people strung out treat me better than people I know with a 3-piece suit and tie. So, it's just those constraints that we up under. Yeah, but the necessity of a relationship is really the importance of our conversation of today. And I'm not saying the necessity of male, female. I'm just saying relationships in general at this point in time because, we've been talking to family members and we've been getting with family over the last several months now, right? And, when you see how we have like all these different things that are going on out here in the community and in the world, the ability that you have to come back to a place that is supposed to be safe for you is the goal, right? And I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to that need until it's almost like it's a requirement at that point. Because now we deal with people who are going through the most heinous things but don't have any kind of family support. So you're talking about people in if you lose your house, you lose it through a fire, you lose a child, God forbid, you know what I'm saying? But these are the situations that are being ever present to us now. And then at the end of that, who is your support system for you? And I don't think that people find that need even warranted anymore. A lot of people don't think that there is importance in your family and who you build with. But Miss Cleveland,
the ones that actually really, really understand when, you used to hear back in the days when Big Mama and them saying, y'all always stick together.
Right.
Those who embrace that in their soul and never let that go, know that family is always the reboot to where you're supposed to be able to come back and know that's where your love began from.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Because
honestly.
But like I said, just to go through stuff when you're out here building with people and you get further and further away from your family, you get to see how much, things that can happen to you in your spirit, because your family connection and the spirit of that union does so much for, another lift for confidence, because that's where your counselors, your therapy, all that stuff at when you go in and vulnerable to share with family, because those are the people, especially those ones that love you. Sometimes we get so caught up in trying to chase the mundane world and the things of it, that we forget our values of really maintaining that family togetherness. Because like I said, we out here looking for love and all that stuff in all the wrong places. It's been said in songs and things, but it's really truthful, especially when you have tribes and things that's continuing to be added to your family, grandkids, more kids, you know what I'm saying? And then you need to start forming that team so kids will know each other, so they don't have siblings and things like that they have relations with that they didn't know, because it's a small place around these times, especially when things like that and it happens like that, and people got to pay attention to the importance of just really, really injecting a lot of the history and things about your family so your kids will know where they come from, because everybody don't even know the background of their peoples to really identify, to say, hey, maybe I got these traits from my mom or my dad behind, some of the impulsive thought process, substance abuse, some of the things you can see from the lineage of people if you pay attention. And that's why it's important to have those questions for your family, because a lot of our elders are getting old, and if a lot of things you didn't get a chance to ever find out where you from, what type of people y'all were, ask those questions now, because it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to ask your lineage and your people these things. So, like I say, just really, really embrace family and take that serious more today. Whatever those little situations are with your bloods and things, find a way to patch it up. And so you can have some relationship, because like I say, I believe all those little calluses on our heart that we stay away, those are the things that block our blessings too, because God can't bless us if we hating the people that he brought to us, that's our family. But you can show a person out here that you don't know no love, some love way better than somebody because we all make mistakes. Stop looking at the people that love you or the people that grew up with you as they mistakes the worst thing in the world. They just went through something, Be intelligent enough to know and pray for them. You know what I'm saying? Because all that hating and just things that people have on their mind that need to be erased. That's how you keep a dirty community, if you constantly keeping bitterness in the hearts, So, like I say, family is important. Don't forget it. Like I say, if it's any day now, ain't nobody promised tomorrow. And call and check on your peoples. Check on your peoples daily. Grand rising, good. I don't like to say good morning, but, just to check on your peoples, because of just a text to hear back, at least I know you woke up this morning. Start doing the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we keep going off into that conversation more and more about everybody reaffirming and reconnecting with your family. I mean, I've been trying to keep this program pretty much sticking to a relationship effort based on the fact that there has been so much negativity in the news today and for the last week that I just wanted to stay away from that. And I wanted to really focus on what the constraints look like as far as family, as far as your expectations of what a family looked like, What needs do you feel like need to be addressed, or concerns that need to be addressed during this time period? But most importantly, how can you revitalize and build your family? You know, I mean, we've been watching the news. I mean, we got 30 minutes left of the show. And then the 30 minutes that we going to have left, I guess we going to cover every world event that has just occurred. You know, from the earthquakes that were just released, from the volcanoes that were just released, from that whole situation that happened over in, I want to say somewhere in Spain, where they had a train just fly off the tracks and going straight into a wall. I mean, all of these, there's so many different events that are going on right now. We ended with talking about the school shooting last week. And like I said, our thoughts and prayers go out to that community as well, right? But now, you know, we got to hit in some areas here. We were just in Chicago, right? They talk about the military or the National Guard being on the ground there.
Right.
And how they're strategically planting the National Guard in all Democratic large cities.
Right.
I mean, there are so many different world events and things that we can target and hit on. And I'm just like, I'm just overwhelmed by the media. Because, let me say this, there are things that are not being covered here in the United States of America. And like I said before, that's why I don't watch the United States of America news. I watch other news outlets report on the U.S.
Right.
Because they give more accurate information. Because, you know,
Right. No doubt.
the state of where we are right now, a lot of things are not going to be covered. So I don't know where you want to go, what things you want to highlight and talk about, but we at this point now. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as any other interesting events, I mean, I've been covering and watching so many different things happen in the news, and I've been sharing a lot. And my site, hello, Brian, my site and what I do on my media platform probably is a lot of information. And it probably is a lot of information for people who feel like, what in the world is going on? Because now we're talking about, I put something on there about Project 2025. You know, our board president, Mr. Gus Woods, is going to be one of the speakers over there with First Followers, addressing the things and the concerns of what was inside of Project 2025 that a lot of people were not aware of. A new project just came out. They just put out on the scene. And this was the scopes of Project 2030 now. And I just put this online, and I know a lot of people didn't interact and engage with it because they are like, what is that? Well, this is just like a Project 2025.
Right.
But now they did it 5 years ahead.
Right.
So now the structure of what they have implemented within it, because I started reading it.
For that to be complete, they got to push and come on with it and strategic and fast plans to get it implemented.
This is what I'm going to tell you was in it. The fact that they were going to take the farms away from all the farmers. This is what's in Project 2030.
Right.
So how they won't have any one single farmer, but it'd be the world's property now. This is how they're labeling it. Okay.
So, but you keep your property. We can't come.
Ain't nobody gonna be allowed to own it. No person
can own farms.
Right.
So basically, you can't own no land.
This is my point, y'all. So
if we can't own no farms,
listen,
we can't own no land. So
right. So this is what I'm saying, right?
Community that I'm limited to what you.
No, but this is a world wealth. They're gonna make everybody's gonna be impoverished by now. There's gonna be no poverty at all for not one person in the world. All right. So I'm explaining this.
Cost?
Thank you.
What you got to give up to receive this so-called great idea to be performed
Yep.
and delivered to the people.
Yep.
You know, because just to have some peoples or anybody in there creating such, you know,
The
just-
world leaders.
but
This is the world leaders whose
and-
mental has
and
came
Just
together.
really, just hearing this stuff really just upsets you because
It does.
to allow a people to be so strong but so weak and not really understand when is it time to step up and clean this stuff up. Because if you can't ask a person but to keep stepping on you if you let them.
Yeah.
You know, you creating things that don't make sense, that sounding so crazy, and
Yeah.
we sit there and test it to see if they're really doing it to us. You know, or you know, he doing it for this, and coming
Yeah.
up with different terms and belief systems, what
Yeah.
we think it is, because we ain't comprehending really what it's meaning. And you know, and then it just hit us all at one whop.
Yeah.
And now we got to just go through it.
But I think I really believe our failure comes in the most simplistic way. Our failure comes from the lack of reading.
But like I always stress, for people who ain't that savvy in reading, I promise there be groups and things like that.
Yeah.
That's why the build and the.
I mean, I
and
understand that.
Because like I say, without that connection and that interacting and going out
Right.
there looking for good hobbies and habits, you know what I'm saying? Things to really get into that's for the betterment. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can go to the club for 20 years and never miss the weekend, you telling me you can't take one of those days and let's go into one of these little
That's
rooms
what
and
I'm
pull out
saying,
some
though.
computers and take some notes and start digging into some stuff.
But that's what I'm saying though. Our failure is because we do not. You know what I'm
Lack
saying?
of community usage.
Yeah, and
For
you
real.
know, when you don't get out there and use the very tool that they tell you, you know, if you wanted to keep something from us, where to hide it?
Wow.
Where to hide it?
Jokes and sayings, and it just go over people's head like, who you talking about? You.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you and the rest of you guys.
Right. Right.
Y'all in the way.
Yep.
You
I'm
know,
telling
basically
you.
how they feeling like you guys out here
It's
just,
so seriously.
you know,
because
just
at this
don't
point
want
in
to
time,
do anything.
No.
You're not trying to. We need to get rid of you. If we can put you guys in jail or, you know, whatever we can
that's
get
the
you.
mentality.
You know, we can
Yeah.
get rid of you guys because you guys are not worth anything. And that's crazy for people to give up on people who had their own land that was living a certain culture and then forced to change and adjust to a mindset and soul spirit of belief and living that's never yours.
Mm-hmm.
How damaging is that for every generation that get brought in have to create and copy that? Because we only meant to do what our culture and our lineage is. Just like our prayer, our meditation. Everybody has their different ways of just the cooking, the seasoning. And we just got to allow these certain people to have their territory where they can operate and be their peoples. They're going to excel and prosper. They did it. Every culture had some type of growth with it when they was on their own. But when you start to want to dominate the world and take over everybody and put them under your control, I don't know. I don't know who want to live like that. So you never can think for yourself. So thinking for yourself is wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
You ain't got to do nothing. You saying that they saying that everybody's gonna, there won't be no poverty. Everybody gonna be straight. But I'm thinking, what do you have to do to be that successful? Because you
I'm
never
telling
going
you,
through anything.
I'm explaining to you that they have put out a projection from the world leaders of the world. All right, this just isn't coming from the United States of America, Project 2025. We're talking about an implemented plan that they have to basically take over so many different facets of our life, and nobody is even discussing it. When I'm talking about 5 years is 5 years away, friend. It's not gonna change the time constraints. We're going down. They just marking it down.
Yeah, but Buddy only should have on there a couple years.
That's not got nothing to do
right.
with
I'm
him.
understanding that, but you would think if he was only in short term, right, and whoever get in, they pretty sure ain't gonna be at that caliber unless they're already in the chain of when you're talking about the higher ups, when the higher, the Queen of England.
But
and all
that's what
these
I'm saying.
different
If
stuff,
it's
and they
already
got
gonna
it
take
right,
place.
they already know who's in place to keep this agenda going on and sort of shift over with a good cop, bad cop type mentality. Now the next one to come with a good attitude, but he's still pushing that agenda.
This is my point right here. On the end of our term with him, that'll be when the new elections come up. That'll be when the new president takes office.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So there won't be anything that new one gets into place can say about something that they have already started to plan.
Mm-hmm.
Everything will be
That's
in
why
place
they put
by
it
the
in there
time.
to keep it going.
Everything will be in place by the time you get to your destination, right? So I'm explaining this to say this. If you haven't looked online at my information that I've had on there, I think you should check some things out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, James. Hey, what's going on? But I'm telling you, go online, check some things out. Read about what they have planned for you. Because it ain't just me.
Right.
I ain't going to be here. Be gone.
It's time to get on the plane.
It's time to go. But listen to what I'm explaining to y'all. Like, there is information out here that we should have at our disposal, and it should be led in weekly group sessions, weekly meetings, something where we can have conversations about what the movement looks like collectively for those.
I be sometimes wondering what was the blueprint for Martin Luther King, where he stopped at, what level he was moving forward for us as a people to try to implement, and can we get those blueprints and try to see what we need to continue? Because they was finna move to a whole nother level, asking for something that,
They really were.
right? So
They
where
really were.
where did he stop at
You
to
can get all
where
his writing
you know what I'm
down.
saying? And what was his next move he was finna make? Was he was going to Washington D.C. to ask for reparations and things like that? All right, what's next that we need to do to pick up what the ancestors did? Because now we the new legs and the new strength. With the new technology that they giving everybody, there's no way we shouldn't be able to figure out how to draw declarations of independence for ourselves, constitutions for ourselves, because we intelligent enough to do that.
Right.
Because if you put the right scholars of our culture and our people together, we're going to make our own United States or America Republic of what this really is, so the American Indians, which is the blacks, can have that credibility for being the creators of what it was for Tamaria. So, it's some history stuff that can go
it's
on.
a lot.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of things that we could be talking about and doing and proactively doing.
Right.
I got some things that are going to take place over the next several weeks that we're going to try to see what we can and cannot do. We're winding our time down. It's 2:47. Today has been a very interesting day. Shout out to Strawberry Fields' previous owner, Mr. Muhammad. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for the food. It was
It was.
the conversation was very, unique and very genuine. I definitely appreciated meeting you today, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we really did appreciate that sit down and that conversation that was had. Mr. Muhammad is an interesting man. We got several things going on later in, what is it? This is September already. We're here.
Yeah, I also want to send a old shout out to my brother over there in Decatur, Devon Joyner. Appreciate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just say, real man, happy birthday to you. Have a good, blessed birthday today.
Amen. Anyway, today's September. What's happening? What's happening this weekend? Anything happening this weekend we should know about? On the 16th, they're going to be having that speaking event. I don't know if you can find it or not on Facebook or whatever, but it's something that I had just most recently posted up. Like I said, Gus will be out there with First Followers doing a speaking event to discuss Project 2025. The big, beautiful bill since it's here. What do you do? What do you do now? Man, I can't even hit that like I wanted to. Because we just talked about $300 billion that was removed from the food stamp program as well. and how those effects will be rippled through our communities. What do we need to do? You know, a lot of people are taking this as lightly as you possibly can. That now is not that time for you to take anything light.
People don't want to fearmonger either and put that type of pressure of things that
Yeah, I know.
you ain't got no control of. Because if
Of
you don't
course
have
you don't.
much, if you don't
No.
have much and can't stock up, or,
No, we're not talking about that.
just a mixture of anything.
Right.
But
We're not talking about just for people to stock up, but what I am talking about is there are local churches that we do have. There are local places of worship that do have food pantries within their means that could be of assistance to families. So if you haven't thought about it, you can offer those things as support, and you can
Absolutely.
link yourself with most of the pantries. They will give away to you for free. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So if you don't know about those options and those resources, those are things that we can do within our community,
Right.
with each other and piggyback off of each other, because now we have to realize that for the people that really do programming and really do like searches and you know, try to
Research.
fill off what's going on in the community, you know what I mean? Because we're going into that stage. And I'm just trying to get people not to fear it, but you better start
Be
preparing.
prepared, no doubt.
You
Definitely
know,
keep
and
your eyes
and
open
make sure
and pay
you're
attention
keeping
to the movement.
your communities prepared, which is why the ever-present, language of us talking about, reconnecting with your families. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Value the fact that you have people to depend on, because, we getting in these times and in these seasons now where the dependability of a person is so minuscule. It is not what you thought it was before. Anyway, it's 3:51. What's going on, everybody online? Let me see who this was. Miss Cleveland. Shamika was on with us earlier today. This month is September. Why do I keep saying that? Andre's birthday is September the 9th. Trisha's birthday is the 29th. It's the end of September, okay. I don't think we have any more family. Anybody for you, Trey? I don't think so.
I have a daughter, her birthday is, I want to say September 30th.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd be shocked.
I want to say,
You want to say what?
Devin's birthday is September 9th, too.
Are you serious? I know you ain't in.
9/11. Yeah,
Okay, no.
9/11.
Okay. All right.
That's his birthday, man.
All right, then we have to
Something
do the
like that.
shout out to Devin one again. Yeah, so we're winding our little time down here today. We're at the IMC. Shout out to you, Miss Cleveland. How you feeling this afternoon? We had some visitors lined up, but today wasn't that day. Today we talked about relationships, the constraints of your relationship. How did you formulate your thoughts of what a relationship would look like? Did your mom, dad have really any big impact on how you chose to deliver a relationship and who you are in it? You know what I mean? I think that was my thing, though. Like, I watched my mother be super mom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was the most cleaningest, cookingest lady I ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? And she loved it, right? But I don't think she was with a person that could appreciate that. I don't. You know what I'm saying? And he was I can tell you at the end, he spoke about her with such very high regard and high esteem. And so, you got to ask those questions, because I really wanted to know, what was the dysfunction? Why did you not, why didn't it work, right? And he was like, I didn't know how to make it work.
And that's a lot of people.
I'm not
Ain't
saying
nobody had. I mean,
No,
when
you're
we going
you're
through
saying it
something-
like you're shocked.
No,
I'm not saying it like
shocked. I'm not shocked because I'm knowing that's just how a relationship. Because there ain't no rule book.
Yeah.
You get engaged. You meet somebody. You start some things, and you trying to play it by ear. Okay, I learned this, or she don't like this. Because certain things, I'm breaking habits that I had. What if I was a guy that played video games and never stopped to pay attention to? It's habits that boys make when they have growing up. I go play.
Yeah.
So when you start to meet a female version and starting to transition to relationship talk and dates and things like that, birds and the bees and all that, that's a whole nother, y'all both got to learn how to adjust for those things to really start being compassionate about each other, and really understanding each other. And it's like meeting a friend. That's what I at least thought you're supposed to be friends first, and then, you start to go into, possibly, dating, But I just feel it's stages you have to go through first with relationship at some time. I mean, we move fast sometimes, and sometimes it's just a good time. But sometimes the good time, somebody might get attached, and I'm like, listen, this wasn't the plan. I told you that. You knew that. And you have to, and people don't respect that because people want to steal. When they want what they want, they gonna do what they do. And it's just, relationship, life, like I say, there's no rules and no, you just learn how to be with like you said, how you want your life and your homes to be. So that's the only thing I feel that people can really, really, really can work on and do is their own homes and their life. But from other people, it's just some of the experience and things that we going through out here is rough.
Yeah. So, that was my answer from him. The answer was that he said he did not know what to do. And so I told him, you had all these TV shows to look at. Like, I was really saying that to him, and it's end, right? And so he was like, but I didn't know how to practice that. Just because I saw it, I didn't know how to do it. And I thought that was just so very interesting. I don't know who this lady is just standing out there, but not right there. But
paying attention to her.
I was,
okay.
but yeah, I was, because I'm like, who is this just walking around? But anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah, just to hear that, I think, for me as a woman,
right?
You know what I'm saying? For me as a woman, and the time that my dad ended up passing away, I'm in my 40s, right? So for me as a grown woman to hear that, I think a lot of women need to hear that from a man figure, like a father figure, or their own father. You know what I'm saying? Because it breaks the unreal expectations that you have on yourself. If you put yourself in a relationship with a mate, it breaks you from having that unreal expectation. And those are conversations that I don't think that men are having with their daughters, because they're not even getting to that capacity to even have a relationship built to explain that. So we got a lot of women that are out here, I feel, that needed that. They need that conversation that I had with my dad in my 40s, right? Earlier in life. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it would have helped me move along a little bit differently. But as far as after the fact of like my dad passing away, it gave me real understanding of what my expectation is for my mate. You know what I'm saying? It gave me a real expectation for you, baby.
Really?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
So I don't have like a real expectation of where I don't understand. I understand clearly that I have to take time to get to know where you are and who you are and what your capabilities are before I can put an expectation on you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think a lot of women have had that conversation with their father. However pervasive, they need that conversation with a man or a dad or a father figure that they can trust. Because I said, in my prayer life, what my expectations were with the Lord for my partner were you.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful, sweetheart.
Thank you so much, honey. I tried, you know what I'm saying? I know that's a public stream, but, I can tell it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because I don't think a lot of people understand that. I'm not waiting on one particular thing. It was the whole package. You know what I'm saying? And he was going to come just how God wanted me to have him. So I think when you get a closer relationship with God, when you start having a prayer life, when you look for those things that you need in yourself, then you're able to give it to another person. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really have expectations on myself that deeply. Anyway, guys, it's 3:59. You got anything to wrap up the show with? We almost at the end.
And keep your eyes open. Like I say, just try to keep a better form of open-mindedness about things. And, hey, just work on yourself as much as possible, you know, in private time. And definitely have a better relationship with God than ever.
Yeah.
And y'all have a blessed evening this evening.
Tonight is the night. If you have not, give God a try. So, everybody, we at the end of the show for today. Hey, Lasia, what's going on? We're at the end of the show for today. I want to thank everybody for getting on with us today. And like I say all the time, take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. Please love on your people. As A.J. Juwan would say, check on your people. No, love on your people for real. We in that capacity where we need it. Anyway, everybody, it was nice seeing everybody online with us today. It's 4:00. So like and share with your friends. We'll see you next time that we come back. And see y'all later.
Peace.
Put those back over there for me, baby. We're done. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for getting on with us. Hey, Lasia, what's going on? We're going to leave up out of here. I'll talk to y'all later. Plus, I got to go meet with people.